Hey YouTube, this is the Art of Prepping. Thanks for joining me. We're just going to be looking at some unconventional and alternative uses for the Kershaw Shuffle 2. As we know, this uses a tanto blade, and since it has basically two different edges, you could always just use the primary one on the bottom for all your main EDC or utility uses, and kind of preserve and keep this upper blade for an emergency cutting task, to keep a sharp portion of the blade at all times. So that's the first thing you could do. The next thing would be having a tethering point that you could put on your belt clip. It has a little bit of a scalped out, hollowed out portion there. You could take some very small diameter tether cord, or even type 1 paracord would probably fit in there. And if you're over water, you could attach this to your clip on the upper portion of it and have just another attachment point so it doesn't fall off and go into the water and you lose your knife. The next thing would be a scraper. Now I'm going to close this knife since we're pretty much going to be done with this blade. This in here that's supposed to be a screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver could also be a scraper to scrape off paint, or you can even use it to pry open paint cans. You could also use it as a light duty pry bar. Another cool thing is that you could use this end piece for, besides just scraping, is to actually gather up wood tinder. So if you're out in the bush and you need to get some dry tinder off of the inner part of like a bark or a tree, you could actually scrape down on that as well, or dig into the tree a little bit because it has just a slight edge to that. You could even sharpen this further to actually give it a little bit more of an edge if you desired. The next thing would be, and I've tried this is actually very cool. On the tip here, it's not so good because it's such a small surface to strike a ferro rod. It's actually a little bit difficult to do. But right here on this back spacer, you can actually, and I've done it before with this particular one, I took my 5-inch ferro rod, 1/2 inch, and on this edge right here is just enough an edge to strike down on a ferro rod, and it created some pretty decent sparks. The next thing you could do is a wire bender. You can take a piece of wire, put it through this lanyard hole, and you could actually bend it depending on if you wanted to go up or down. You could go with a pretty large diameter wire with that large hole. This hole also could be used not only to attach a lanyard, but also to put a small diameter carabiner in there to clip it to your gear. And also you could put a key fob or a lanyard fob as well on there. Of course, you have this dual-sided, so it's ambidextrous bottle opener or cap opener. But what I found also that was very useful by using those pieces right there, this particular tool, is that when you have a small nail, finished nail, but a nail that has a little bit of a head on there, you can actually get underneath of it with that this lip here that is used for the cap opener, and you can literally just pry up and pry up in different directions, this way or that, the actual nail. So it could be a nail puller or nail prier, which is very cool. Also, and I haven't tried this, but I think if you grasp it, like this, and you pull back as much as possible, and of course I'd probably wear gloves, you could probably use this with certain types of glass as a glass breaker, especially if it's just a single pane tempered glass. So basically it could be an impact tool. Also, if you have nuts, maybe like could be acorns, walnuts. I'm pretty sure you could probably manipulate this, to actually, if you could position the nuts into a place that they're not going to move about, kind of lock them in. You could probably use this to crush and to get to food like that too. And lastly, though, I would say in my opinion, this is a very small blade, but at the same time, if you needed to, you could choke back as much as possible to give as much reach as possible and use this as a self-defense blade. It is definitely sharp enough, and it has enough of an angle that I think it would do very well. So those are just some ideas for alternative uses for the Kershaw Shuffle 2. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully this gave you some different ideas of how you could use this. There's probably a few other things you could do, use this for, but those are the ones that came to my mind. So everyone be safe, and we'll have some really cool videos in the very near future.